Welcome to Medipsy Psychological Services ongoing series on values both inside and outside psychotherapy. Today I'd like to explore the question with you, am I the only one who cares? A question that people who live their values sometimes ask. Just a reminder to start off, what's a value? A value is a deeply personal idea of what's important and meaningful in the world that directs our actions. And something interesting about values is many values are for other people. They're what we might call compassionate values, being kind, being fair, being of service to others, contributing, having integrity. These values are not just for ourselves, they're for the world, they're for others as well. They may make us feel good when we live them. Mostly they do. If we're living values-driven lives, we feel pretty good about it. But they're actually for others. And when I started to work with people, both in my therapy practice and in workshops, one of the things I was struck by was all of the people who had these compassionate values, values that were for others. Not every value is for others. There are some values that are about for me, like I want to be powerful, I want to be important, I want to achieve. These are not compassionate values or values for others, they're values for me. And I was struck by how many of my clients and participants had these other kinds of compassionate values. And I thought, well, my clients must just be a really special group of people, or the people who come to my workshops are people who are like this. You know, of course, there's Sister Teresa, there's Nelson Mandela, there's people in the world with great values. But actually, I believed that most people didn't have these compassionate values. And then I came across a piece of research. The research was done by an organization called the Common Cause Foundation in the UK. It's a network of people who are working to rebalance cultural values, to create more equitable, sustainable, democratic institutions. In other words, people trying to do good in the world. And the Common Cause Foundation did this survey, which I was struck by the findings. So they interviewed 1,000 people in the UK. And they asked them about their values. And then they grouped those values into compassionate values like helpfulness and equality and protection of the environment. And more selfish values, wealth, public image, success. Okay, so they had two groups of values among these 1,000 people. You know what they found? They found that 74%, that's a huge majority, almost 3/4 of the people put more importance on compassionate than selfish values. So it turns out my clients aren't as special as I thought they were. They're just more like ordinary people. But a really interesting thing about this survey is they asked those same 1,000 people, what do you think the average British person is like? What do you think their values are? And this is the even more surprising part of the survey. 76% of them said that other people had selfish values. I have compassionate values, you have selfish values. So it turns out those 1,000 people in Britain were a lot like me, thinking that compassionate values are something unusual or exceptional. So that's a surprising finding, perhaps, interesting to me, but you may be asking yourself, what's its importance? Why should I care? And it actually is important, and that's because nobody wants to be a sucker. So the research tells us that people in countries where lots of people evade taxes, where lots of people don't pay their taxes, have a great deal of difficulty collecting taxes from the other people, because nobody wants to be a sucker. I don't want to be the only one paying your taxes if I think you're not paying my taxes, if I think you're not paying your taxes. And it's the same thing with good acts. I don't want to be the only one. If I think that most people are like me and want to do good in the world, it actually motivates me to do more. And if I think that most people are selfish, maybe I won't do as much, and that matters. So if you're wondering, am I the only one who cares? If you're thinking, I want to make a difference in the world, but I don't want to be a sucker, I don't want to be the only one, it's not only what you can do to help. Of course that's important. All the initiatives you take on your compassionate values make the world a better place. But it's also other people seeing you do that helps to motivate them. And that means that the difference you make is multiplied. It gets bigger and bigger. Thanks for listening.